Okay, right. So here with Top Dog, we have a slightly, um, they've given us some of the variances. Um, the thing is, I just find this whole thing interesting because they don't tell us whether they're positive or negative. So you have to still do the working. I always find this very interesting. There's nowhere for us to go. Um, they haven't given us the um, we still have to, it feels like we still have to do the calculation because I don't know how you can immediately know. I don't think it's even possible just by looking at this that you know one is positive or negative. Um, so we have to calculate it. Um, sorry. Right. Anyway, let's work through it and get it. We're just confirming their answers. So what do we have here? So we have, again, here, we're just doing what they want. Let's just basically calculate what these variances are, and then we will discuss them. So let's go. Let's start from the beginning. And I think that's really your first task. Let me just snippet this out. Um, get rid of this. No, yes, a snippet. Yeah. By the way, I mean 153 looks exactly like 152, so I haven't touched it. But here we are. So what do we have here? We have a scenario where we can get our standards. That's always the first thing. Use this budget to get your standards, and then that's when your variance analysis begins. Because then we have a flex budget. We can move on to do a flex budget. So what's the story here? You're trying to produce 2,500 barrels. That's the aim, 2,500 barrels, and you know that to make 2,500 barrels, you will need 12,500 liters. So the question is, how many liters do you need, or should you need, for one barrel? That's 12,500 divided by 2,500. So 12,500 divided by 2,000. 12,500 divided by 2,500, and that is 5. So you need 5 liters a barrel. Right? Okay, right. So that's good. So we have that. We know that as a standard. But we also know how much they should cost. So we know that 12,500 liters to have a total cost of £106, 250. So we know how much 1 liter should cost. So 1 liter should cost 106, 250 divided by 12,500. And I have £8.50. So now I have I'll just use a different pen color and highlight oops, and highlight my my standards. Okay, right. So what's happening now? We're making 2,400 units. That's the point. So from a 2,400, from a usefulness point of view or efficiency point of view, you should be using 5 liters. So 5 liters times 2,400 means that you should be using, yes, 5 times 2,400, 12,000 liters. So you have 12,000 liters, right? And you should be, but you used 11,520 liters. So that's favorable. So that's a difference of 480. So you have a 480 liter favorability, of course, all at the standard price of £8.50. And so therefore, this is your but it's favorable. So 480 times £8.50 is equal to 4,080. Right, that's favorable. And then let's look at the price variance. So you should have spent, this is what you did. So you should have spent, I'll keep the pen in black. You should have spent £8.50 times 11,520 liters, £8.50 times 11,520 liters, which is 97,920. But you spent 99,072. 9,000. You spent more. You spent £99,072. So right, you spent 99.72 minus 99 and 72 minus 97920, which is 1152. So you spent 1152 adverse. Adverse. That's what you did. That's what you did. That's what you did. So we know the situation now. So we can go back here, can't we? And call things. That's the 1152. We now know this is adverse. Like I said, I don't know how you could know this. Well, I suppose you could get the total cost. Actually, that might be a simpler way. Um, but you're still flexing the budget. You could just apply the cost to and then figure out from there. But that just seems a little bit risky. Better to just work it out like this. So let's just do all of these and then, sorry, long-winded. But remember, you're doing these workings here. You're doing the workings here and you're doing the workings here, and we've done that. So let's discuss these very quickly, one by one. Again, you put all your dates in, like you saw me do earlier on. You can call this variance analysis or improvement to the but you must have a name in there. Variance analysis from a accountant, date 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, to the finance director, whoever's asked for this. So what do we have here? What do we see? We see an adverse. We see an adverse price variance, and the classic ones here, if you like, really could just be maybe just due to inflation. Might right? This is the point, or I don't know, supply chain issues, if you like, a reduction in suppliers, something like that. Suppliers, and that's one option. I think an option you want to keep writing, I think it's a very good option, is that the standards, the initial standards might be in error. So maybe a review of the standards, highlighting that they might not actually be, if you like, you know, suitable or fit. So we might need to review the standards because the standards we might need to are wrong. Remember we did questions like that where we talked about controllable and non-controllable. So we have supply chain issues. The point is that you're paying more for this than you really should have. So it's a raw material, so maybe there are. I mean, currently in Taiwan, you notice that the Taiwanese are no longer or restricting their export of um, tin and sorry, silicon, and this is used, of course, in making microchips. And so now we have a fall, if you like, in the production of microchips because you have a fall in the supply. And so the price of this commodities is rocketing everywhere around the world. Um, I think depending on where you're buying your products, you might have exchange rate costs, if you like, that they're making your product more expensive. But those are some of the main ones. And then in terms of usage, I think you were more efficient, usage favorable. So you might actually have a better quality material. So that might have been the case. You might, because I think we can talk about the link as we go. So that's important. So let's first talk about so we have better quality material, better quality, maybe better machines, um, and better labor. I think better quality, um, more efficient. I think let's use that. Remember, efficient machines, um, more knowledgeable and skilled workmen, knowledgeable and skilled workmen. And in terms of a link, the one link you can see here, I think and it's really important to have identified the sign, and we have to talk about what the variance means. So this is material was adverse, and explained that we have used more or we have paid more, forgive me, than we should have. Paid more than we should have, right? That's the first point. The and here we're highlighting the fact that we have used less than we should have. And then one link, of course, between the two, um, again, like I said here, is that we might just have on purpose bought better quality material, if you like, better quality material, um, and therefore used less of it. and overall we can see that it was favorable in the end because overall the cost variance is the difference between the two. So you can calculate that as well, please. 1152. And you can see that overall you have 7 minus 5 is 2, 9 minus 10, 10 minus 1 is 9, and that's 2. Overall, you have a favorable material cost variance, right? Which is the difference between those two. Okay, right. So um, let's move on to the rate variances. So the rate variances, let's just, because they're completely different, I'll just delete this entirely and just re-snip this. Re-snip this. So what do we have here? For labor, we know that you should use 10,000 hours and spend 60,000 pounds. And therefore, and you need 10,000 hours as well to make 2,500 barrels. So therefore, one barrel, right, should be 10,000 divided by 2,500. So one barrel should take 4 hours. 4 hours to make a barrel. And also we know therefore that 1 hour should cost 60,000 over 10,000, which is equal to £6. So we know that. So we have our standards. I'll just get my pen, change my pen color. We know what our standards are. These are our standards. 1 hour should take £6, and 1 hour should cost £6, and one barrel should take 4 hours. Okay, so let's go. So to make 2,400 units, of course, over here, 4 hours, my standard cost is £6. 4 hours should take is what you should be spending. So 4 hours times 2,400. 4 times 2,400 is 9,600. You should be spending 9,600 hours. And what did you do? You did 10,080 hours. And therefore, what you see is a difference. So you have spent more time than you should have. So that's adverse in terms of labor. So this is interesting because we begin to see some relationship even with materials, because we're talking about the same thing. So we use less material, probably because it's better quality, probably because the machinery is more is who knows, is more efficient, probably. But you're using more labor than you. We'll see what's happening with the price labor in a second, but let's try and understand what's going on here. And so you have a difference here, of course, of 10080 minus 9,600, which is the adverse variance of what you've just done. 10080 minus 9,600, and you have 480. So whopping 480 hours at £6 is 2,880. So you have an adverse variance of 2,880 for efficiency. Let's look at price. You should have spent £6 on these 1,080 hours that you bought in. So you should have spent 6 times 10080. So 6 times 10080 is 60,040. 60,480, but you spent 61,000. So even here as well, you ended up spending more. So you have an adverse usage as well as 61,488 minus 60,480, and that's 1008 adverse as well. So let's go back here and then just confirm our figures. Yeah, our figures look exactly the same. These are both adverse. These are both adverse. So I mean it's an interesting one. Remember, you're only suggesting. And I would argue that both are adverse, So that means that we paid more for this resource, for labor, you know, they spent more time. I mean, usually when you pay more for labor, you could argue that the labor are more knowledgeable. Maybe there's been maybe some government regulation, maybe there's been some inflation, so maybe we need to review the standards. Maybe we didn't get that right in the end, right? Um, but there's been some inflation. There's a wage increase, so maybe we can't find labor. Maybe there's a shortage of labor. In terms of efficiency, the fact is here that they spent more time, so maybe due to training, um, and maybe again we know that the machines were efficient. Well, we can suspect that because, or maybe it was just purely due to the quality of the material. So maybe the machines themselves are still not as efficient. The machines are not as efficient, and therefore delayed the working process. It's very possible. And again, always go to the standards. It is possible that the standards are wrong, that the standards set are wrong. Okay. Right, and that's it. Then we've calculated the numbers, of course. So it's about how do you get this right and put the figures in sufficiently in with all your writing. Um, so what I would recommend is that you actually do the layout, do the write up, and making sure you're ticking all these boxes. Um, but because both are adverse here, the argument here is that, well, no one's saving anyone anything. Point here is that you somehow have paid more for labor, probably because they're scarce, and because they're scarce, they require more training, and they're quite not up to scratch, or it might be the machinery. But the fact is, it feels like there is an underemployment situation going on, and so you will have, and maybe it might just be more a motivation. Maybe they're not motivated because of the pay or something along those lines. Something maybe they feel it's not enough. So motivation is always a good one here in labor efficiency. Motivation is always very good. Um, right, let's move on to the fixed overheads. This one I can do right on here. Now remember that this thing here. Oh, I don't. Okay, sorry. Here it is. This thing here is perfect. This thing here, fixed overheads, and these two things here is this, right? You thought this is favorable. You thought you were going to spend. It literally is that your expenditure. You thought you were going to spend 200,000. You spent 1.8. You spent 185,808. This is your expenditure variance, and this is favorable. So this is a fixed cost. So reasons here, it could be a change in rates, if you like. I can't call it you might have moved factory. I think anything sensible. You might have changed suppliers. Anything sensible about what happens when you have fixed cost changes, or that sort of thing would work. And that's that. Now, the volume variance here is just needs a little bit of analysis. All you need to do is sort of argue that, well, listen, you think that with every unit, remember 200,000 and 2,500, you're saying that with every barrel, you have 200,000 pounds and you have 2,500 barrels. So you're saying with every barrel, you're going to put in 200,000 divided by 2,500. You're going to put in 80 pounds. That's what you're saying. You're going to put in 80 pound a barrel. And you produced 2,400. So what ends up happening is in your accounts, you will currently have 80 times 2,400, and that's 192,000. So your accounts currently have 192,000, right? And so the argument when it comes to what we do is the first step is to take that figure in the accounts up to the budget. So the 8,000 is an adverse variance because what we're doing is we're adding in 8,000 here to just bring this up first. Remember, I've been talking about this all the time. Bring this up to the 200,000. and then you can do your adjustment. You can really understand what the real variance was. You should never have tucked it in the first place, is the point I'm making. So this is us treating fixed costs as though they were a variable cost, and it doesn't really have any. Technically, there is no meaning to it, is the point, because fixed costs do not change with volume. But we can calculate a fixed volume overhead, and then so you're just really explaining the process of what you're doing. You technically underabsorbed. You're now increasing it back to the budget, and then which you can now aim to compare for your fixed. And then that's perfect understanding. If you can show the examiner that you understand that link between the two. Yeah. Okay.